So what to do right now is I'm going to start a new map from scratch because this is the first episode of Montriana. But then unfortunately, we could not find anything in the map selection. In this video, you will be able to terraform everything from start to finish or top to bottom. And I decided to raise or lower the terrain. And then you will be able to start to finish. And what to do right now is to smooth the edges of the screen to have a lot more smoother. What to do is the controls. You can raise the terrain with the left click, or you can lower the terrain with the right click. Now what we need to do is the mountain. Mountain is too steep for this segment, and it will go a matter of time and a matter of sizes with this brushing. Brushing is more difficult than the other ones, but then if you try to do another thing, you will be resized in what is going on, and you will be able to add more surfaced areas. And what to do is not to steep everything. It must be smoothened. Everything in the mountains. For example, you need to control everything in order. It is alphabetically. And what now is creativity and imaginary. And don't forget the ocean right after the terraforming, including the rivers, which is basically through the interruption. And however, you will be precise in the edges of the map. Moving on to rivers. The next thing to do is the river near the edges of the city map or the city tiles, the own tiles. And what to do is to lower the terrain by pressing the right click or hold the right click. If you want to smooth faster, just press the shift or hold the shift buttons. You must hold the shift button, and then you'll be able to guide something more. And then but the frequently it's supposed to run at 12 frames per second because you are running at 5 times slower than in the original. And this modification is you're playing on old laptop, which can crash the game, and it doesn't show in a while, but then all of these circles should be smoothened, everything in order. And however, you will be able to create more surfaces in the other areas from left to right. And then you have to remove everything in the rocks which is too steep, and it should be not too steep in order. Or what will happen if you create more and more, it will go all the way to the top. And then precisely you will be precise going to the top and should be setting up to 400 on our own tile near the tile border. If you're running out of silly limits, you will be expanding some more by reaching the milestones. And then however, you will never suffer a loss with the number of times. If you try to suffer a number of times, you need to wait and think about it. Now what you need to do is to go to the right side of the map. You will notice how to expand this map, but then you need to remove everything and flatten, and then add some trees near the river if you have water in this precise area. Now we need to do is accordance with this scriptural and structural. If you have anything spontaneously, you will go near the rivers and in the mountains, hilltops and rivers. And don't forget with the smoothened areas. If you have any barged area, you must move on with this side of the creek and the dumped area. What to do right now is to start over and start it over. Oh, we're not starting it over and over. Remember, what to do right now is give me some strength to smooth from eroded areas near the river or the coastal areas. Now all you have to do is everything setting up and smooth everything in order. And finally, we're going to piece of eroded areas. You have anything in the piece of eroded areas, you should go on the side. Now please don't do hesitating with these stepped areas. So what to do right now is to smooth again and again and again. And the strength should be on the flatten the hilltop, not flatten hilltop with this hilltop. A little high altitudes going there and there. And the most of the thing is the highway on right after the landscaping. If you have anything in order, you will be unconscious bareback to one and another. And this is what we call Montriana. At this City Skylines project, you will be precisely what is going to go from near to far. And finally, we're going to set a sea level to 25 or 35. And that should do it. Now what we need to do right now is to plant some trees. Planting some trees is a difficult thing whatever to do near the river. If you have any water stream from the starting area, you can start the water areas on that side. You will go from that area in that area. If you have anything in order, you will be able to do everything in order. For sometimes I was wishing you to create an imaginary thing that holds up to 250,000 trees in this editor. And we have noticed what to do is the wrong ones, and I picked the wrong trees. And for some part, I kind of know what you're doing. And then the edges of the map is you're running out of city limits. What to do right now is smooth everything or something. Add more trees, and don't forget the sandalions or near the sand grables and sand grable thing or what. If you have anything mistakes, go back from the start and start it over. And nearly. Do not forget to smooth everything in touches in these grading areas. Now from some part you'll be able to create other chances from going there and there. And that part, trees on the left and the right near the river. And don't forget to start from the start. And I was wishing you to plant more trees, but it's up to 250,000. You cannot make more than 250,001 in some kind of format. Because what happens when you touch everything is in order? You will be structural and glacial areas in one out of any kind. Oh wait, you forgot the beaches. The shorelines are near the coastal areas. near the ocean, because this is a bay walk or bayside. Well, whenever to do is adjust everything and adjust everything. Do not forget to remove everything by holding the left or right mouse button. And what to do is the right mouse button, and everything should be flattened and again and mountainously. And yeah, there's not much time left. Alright, switching from landscaping tools on this segment, it's time to get a highway starter to build a highway, also with railway trucks. But then, if you try to build a highway without a highway starter, it will be harder to make it straight. And don't forget to curb the highway before something else is with. If you have anything messes up, you need a guide to create a road system. Oh wait, don't forget to remove those trucks instead of this one. So let's try making it straight unless something performed to each other. And the rest of the parts is basically segmented below, and you cannot create a curve because of the straight line, and then we precisely going from this grid. Every guide is every step of the line. And what I'm going to do is need more suffocated areas downside below. And then we switch everything in an order. You need to get all the way from the top and into once. And then alright, then we could not go everything in order. And then try making it wonderful and wonderful. Everything will make it happen often because the same thing as well. Sometimes I just ask you to landscape before building a road system layouts. Now it's time to connect into the edges of the map. There are one. We need at least two for this required. I have so many errors for doing that. And then this, it could be on the straight lines down the site in the area. But then okay. Oh wait, you cannot elevate the roads up and down while the number lock is on. Page up and down or page down cannot be accessible while the number lock is on. So we need to wait for a while in a moment. So that means you need to wait on a single sanctuarial second. And one ongoing rail tracks must be continuation. For this time, you will be able to create a lake or the river. Create a river from the mountainous city in Montriana. And please stand by for a precise momentum. Then what to do is on steep line and smooth to avoid erosion. Oh no, they kind of eroded in one single places, and thus anything will go from road to road. And if you have three ongoing road connections from this modification, and that is why you need to buy the game before recording it. If you want this game, you need to buy it. Or if you want this game, you need to buy it for sometimes. If you don't buy the game, you'll get pirated, or it's crackedly, or you'll get prisoned by the professional orders. If you don't buy this game, your software will be pirated, and you must be legal in this order. You must get one or more and one or more. Try to make this insane, or what is good in one critical moment. And don't forget to set the water surface in this area. The capacity should be 30 or more, 30% or 10%. Let's wait. You can't build. Okay, you can only build, but the space is already occupied, and because they don't see anything. Now we need to do is, oh no, it's occupied again, occupied. However, it's occupied one or more another. Let's elevate this thing up, and elevating everything up. So don't tell me what is exact, and don't tell me what you're doing around them and to another. Now what to do right now is to elevate the rest of the bridges, overpassing the railway, underpassing the railways, or something another. And try to forget everything. Now let's try this again, but then you could see there are two of the sides, and then the other side is, oh no, what the thought. I try to make more attempts to create more of these lines, and then what will severely happen? What if you precisely govern just one in this one? Moving on to this elevated ramps and closer to each other outside of the connections, and connect them together with this transportational intercity ones. And I'm using the mass transit DLC to create a trumpet interchange, so that requires mass transit. For a downloadable content, you need a mass transit DLC, and for somewhat elevated roads are going on disaster, are going disastrous, but it's occupied again, and the rest of the things, you notice how this happened, and then build a road or a railroad tracks, but then again occupied from that spaces. For some reason, you need to actually wait for stupidity things. If you don't get unlucky, you will not be satisfied if you try to build more highways than that. And there you go, that should do for something of it. But the game is still slower and slower. You need to right click, smoothen everything to 40%. The strengthen to be strengthened by. If you have anything, build a tree on what whatsoever. However, this content, it should be outstanding or atrociously. You need to be attractiveness and the go another ones. Try to smoothen it again before building a tree. Trees near the river and the highway. But remember, you can't place a tree or plop. You cannot plop a tree because you need to wait for a while and reset the sea level. And what to do right now is set the capacity to everything to 10. And what to do right now is build a bridge. And however, it doesn't build a bridge right now, unless we need to change the water capacity. In otherwise, it's just a simple thing, or what you need to work it as all. And I tried too many times to landscape every time, or what's what. For something is I don't know, creativity and destruction. The seawater should be unriseable or indisasterable, and you pick the wrong brush tool, for the same wavelength. For some any kind, it's not possible to bring more bridges at the top of the each line, and then uh, I don't know, plant more trees or any kind, because that happens if you plant more trees near the river or a shoreline, near the coastal things. But then you can't plop or prop or something as elsewhere. You can't plant trees near the water if you tried something else as well. For some reason, you'll notice how this happened. So everything messes up in order. Now back to the building a highway. Now what we need to do is to get something more straight, then build a bridge crossing to this river. If you don't wait in a while, set the water level to 0 to make it more straighter than before. And then what to do now is build a bridge. For some reason, you could actually go from there and there. I tried this long, but then try building more efficient to build more bridge. 4 times, no, 4 times not stronger than the other ones. And then I tried many times to build more and more. But if you try looking at that, there had a such thing going this there. And which one could seek through or something in one or more? Never thinking it would. For 1 out of 10, it will be harder to make it straight back to 0 and landscape it again. And for some reason, you need to landscape it again, and there's something wrong with. And there are only 3 of these, but then start it over. There are still 4 of these, and try again. And there are too many attempts going there and there. And set it back to 0. You're still setting back to 0. We need to demolish some of the trees, and you need to wait in a single while. But then forgot to landscape this part. And however, it's not really nice to look at it. And then from the most of the part is you need to go back to 0, or create a shape line for the segment. So while in this part, you will be able to create a new shape line from there, but there are cable stayed bridges in one single order. You should elevate a small amount of time and places, but then a small amount of time or places. You should consider trying this again and then another, or you will be able to get it from another and another. If you have anything, try to smooth it over. And it doesn't look nice, but these bridges are suffocated during this part because we need to demolish it again and again. And however, Trumpet Interchanges is coming up next, right after the bridges. And it's an intersection or interchanges. From the most of the part, you will be able to get it in from another and another. And once a thing, do not forget to landscape it again after resetting the sea level. To make it easier, you must set everything in order. Or what to do right now is set everything to 0 or 0, or really you want to know. Either way. So if you have anything adjusted, let's make it 2. Try making it 2. Follow the grid and the lines basically upon the interruption. And go back to the statement of the line. Down, so the 3rd Avenue and the line going there and there. But then it's still immersively ongoing with this elevation step. The elevation step is nearly nice, but it doesn't matter. but then too steep again from another ones. But then it should be the correct ones and the incorrect ones. And the final thing you need to work on with the stable line with this landscaping tool, or maybe sufficient. We need to fast forward this. We need to fast forward the game or the map editing process for this scenario. We need to wait until the end of the time. We need to wait until the end of the time. We'll create more sufficient down laking side, and then if you need everything in the down lake side, it will matters. So the third thing you need to say is the river from the mountains. A river from the mountains will go all the way from the bottom, the flatlands. While since Montriana is the first episode of the series, there might be changes on the second episode, road building action, and then we need to wait until the road or the water is completely filled, everything in order. But then try to elevate our landscaping with this precise maximum amounts. So please don't set the wrong sea level. Your road will be damaged and flooded in the serious things what you know. And one thing, forget to do it. Try making everything more complex, and that is why you need to start it over and over. If you have anything persistences, try to select to each others. It will last up to 1 hour of this game. So this episode is called starting a new city from scratch, and that's it what it matters. Let's try. If you make it everything equal, try to try this again and create again a ship route from there to there. If there's any mistakes, you need to try this again. And however, it will go from there into there. 2-lane highway can be available on this side. Moving on to Trumpet Interchanges, there must be something wrong with this. Something wrong with this. And I don't think it's right. So we need to wait it first until the Trumpet Interchanges will go from this right to another's, and then it's too early to make more streamable in the other words. And then one thing you called what to do is this hilltop network. Hilltop networking is our most unsuccessful moment, that we could bring more sufficient lines and another. But then try making it wonderful idea to have more ideas and planning. And another one will go from that guide. And that guide is strict, is simply simplified, strict, or anything. We need to go back from the start and start it over. And it doesn't seem right, but then, and there you go. That's the curvature line, and I don't know. The curvature line is start it over and start it over. The last time we tried to exception, the exception are expected to stop in about an hour ago, and then you're still running at 5 times more, more and more. But then this one is pretty much predicament, and then this one is not enough, or another thing when you go not too curb and not too steep. Try let's try this again, and most of this are slowing down because of the following condition and restriction, and start it over. Now we need to do is to start it again and again. If you have any if you have anything if you have anything mistakes, please start over and messing up with this time lapse. So with this time lapse build, it's conditionally not precise. Every 6 tiles, you will be able to manage everything in every 6 tile. Alright, 6 tile cringe line. A cringe line will so a cringe line will create more outside connections. Outside connections there are 3 outside connections, but then it's occupied again. But then I tried another one. So we need to smoothen it again and again, like you want this on the first segment, and then try to left right click and right clicking, right clicking and right clicking. Don't tell me another thing what you want. And the last thing you need to do for this segment is to smoothen it again and again on the bridges segment. And for most of the part is try to smooth it again and again. If you have anything that it could go from there, but it's occupied again and again, we need to wait until its next segment or until it finishes. It's previously contained, which is widely stepped into another, and then the rest of the parts are going from another and another. But then it's not straight, but it's seriously not straight. And however, you can't make it straight because of the superior areas. And the second goal is what to do. And what to do right now is change different changes in this type of the scenario and create another outside ongoing connection. And the elevation is still occupying their spaces, but then I try to elevate the rest of the roads. And what to do right now is wait until the step is configured to each step, or it's temporarily or permanent. And then a rail side of the network is completely different than the other. And don't forget the curb line. And that is what is this segment. Segment number 4 is the Trumpet Interchange. It will be used for this cutscene or at the beginning of this episode. So please make sure that you're building a Trumpet Interchange. It will be harder to make a curb line or something, which is different from a highway starter. For that note, it will be synchronized between 2 or more intersections, 2 or 3. It will be separated from the other side to another changes from the curb. And whatever to do, it's hard to create a curb line down from the side and the T avenue, where partiest thing would you ever want. But then I could try to stable and surprise within 1 or more fewer months and connected it together with with an absolute transport industrial surveillance. And number two is try to make it easier but realistic. Otherwise, it will survive the rest of the corners. But the elevation step is considerately wrong to another ones. And hopefully that will serve more industrial types. Right click to change the lane, and then serve more transportation types of industries and give more sufficient rules to transport industries. And number three, you will be starting over and over. And sometimes you can upgrade every station to another station, but hopefully it will make us about every area's minds. Now we're going to expand the areas of the city, which concludes expand the rest of the interchanges or connect them together with the highway, is served by Trumpet Interchanges with two side steps. Two side steps are rotability and difficultness. So the two-way highway requires mass transit DLC, which is considerately setting up into one or another. But then I tried to curb it again, but it's seriously hard. It's seriously hard going this one. And then what's others? Please note, you're going to have the third bridge. Remember to have a third bridge in one sitting and another. Remember to set everything to 0 again before landscaping. And what to do is an approximate thing. It could bring us more untouchable or something. And whatever to do is start again to create more bridges. Some cooperative like that, and the rest is obvious to create the wrong thing that turns again to the right. And finally, the sloped areas are something with some water. And again, don't make the wrong elevation. Please note that it happens. So we are standing by for the next thing you need to work is what to do is what. How about 6 or more tiles? Yeah, 6 or more tiles squared to another. Each of it are industrial. Some sort of kind of procedures. And number 5, we have CVUs in the CVUs networking highway, a mass transportation, or it's supposed to be refreshing. So please note that if you set the wrong sea level, your road will be damaged while it's flooded. You have to start it over and over to make sure. Try it's over. Now we need to do is a freeform road, a curb line road near the trees to make it more easier. And one final thing, there's something wrong with this one, because this is the second attempt while building the serious road attempt construction. And the number 2 is another road on the right near the river, but it plays so hard to could see. You can't build on the lower at the top, and then the wrong sea level will be flooded, and actually doesn't work. So you don't messing up with this road or set about layouts and connect it to each others, or approximate use or a sudden thing not to the another. And the rest of the thing is we need to add more trees near the highway, and it doesn't show me again. You have to make sure what is precisely more trees, more sudden goods, but then it will go straighter than the higher one will or the lower will go higher and lower. If you go higher and lower, you will precisely go more higher and lower, and then try not to disturb one or more chances, and connect it together with the multiple problem. And then the number 6. Number 6 is a curvature line downside from the others. And unlikely, this road should be miserably placed. Setting back to 25 will be more perfect than the curvature. Remember not to set the wrong sea level. Your road will be damaged and flooded. And however, start it over. Please make sure everything is in order. If you like this game, please consider buying it. If you don't buy this game, your game will be marked as piracy, and then or the game will be marked as pirated, or the software will be pirated. You'll get prisoned and do something changes. Number 7, trees near the highway, and then the rest of the things you need to work is don't build near the colossal side in orders. But this game was not sponsored by geometric things and one thing and another ones. For the rest of the game, it will be marked as pirated. And however, guiltiness and free. And for most of the shore, you must disable the connections brought in human order. And however, trees are important near the highway or railway tracks and the river. So, if you try to build a tree near the highway, railway, or a river, it will be more perfectionists. Don't try to do this again, or you will be able to serve more undercountry things and accessible. Number 5 is I need to make more mountains or steep hills after plopping more trees. But then we need to remove everything to reduce the maximum trees planted, and then I should work more agricultural areas and some sort of any kind with these resources. But then I need to smoothen it first before leveling in to the stepped ones between them and eroded. And one thing another to do is I'm going to make more mountains, which is expandable, and it usually happens in a while. So the first check and the second unchecked, which is incorrectly right or incorrectly wrong, and somehow is I don't know how they doing or something to be eroded by I don't know this particular part. In other words, it was not listed on the dictionary or the thesaurus. So adjustable areas might be unconscious to make ever since possible. So if anything will create more everywhere and everywhere. But the landscaping modified to be modified as persistences. So what to do right now is to plant more trees near the steep hill, but not the steep hill, because you can't plant on that area because it's brown with rocks. And then pretty more fun of this. We are not going to make it more quite endurances to preside and or a preside. You will ever notice that some of the brown thing here would have an a coal or an ore thing, iron, copper, or realistic ones to make it much easier. Now, for some example, you're going to have some of the resources, but ore is very small, very low for this route. Reduce everything but stronger and weaker. And then what to do is add more and more. If you need everything, you can have up to 250,000 trees. And then if there's too many trees, you need to remove everything except the orders, an oil, a fertile, and a forest. There are 4 resources such as forest, agricultural areas. I don't know. We can forest, fertile, oil, and ore, which is very small. But then the forest is adequately low, but usually goes right there to make more mountains, hilltops, alpine, or something. In other words, you will be preserved as think about the jobs. Now, what to do is create such thing as to be formatted. And once a thing you need to work is not the last one. And the other one is plop more trees. And the maximum should be on the other side. And then, okay, replacing, what are we replacing? Then we're replacing these trees to make more agricultural. And then most of it's Montriana agricultural area. Then the other thing is the Sunset Harbor. And most of the part are pretty much confusing to make avoided confusion. In other words, you will be able to plant more, but there's too much of this, such as oil and ore. But fertile areas might be happening. Then we need to do is we need to make everything, and there's a pretty thing could do, and such thing will go from other side to the corner and the edge of the corner. Oil is very dangerous to make it more difference, but it requires 81 tiles. But the minimum is 9 in the original. 9 is the original. So because there are 25 tiles in a single map, but there are only 9. Okay. There are too many of trees of this type because there are 9 only. The maximum is 9, and then what we need to do is plant some more. The next is the fertile land with we're gonna restore the some sort of any kind, the sand. We're gonna restore the sand, and the rest of the one will execute or include many more fertile areas on this map. Every Montriana has a lot of fertile areas, but there's too many of this one, in this such thing because oil is the lowest one in Montriana, but the oil might be changeful because it can be placed near the steep hill, and for most of it, there are such thing as we don't want. And in the meantime, you will be able to create more Saturn river plants, and you will ever be seen as grateful in this unconscious part, and try to make another oil and ore. Do not make it dangerous. You can landscape something more in the next episode after the third ones. So the third one is the extra landscaping. But remember, you have to be legal, or you will be able to uh, allow more, but it's not allowed. You can allow more surface painting areas like sand and something another ones. And don't forget the fertile areas or the landscaping tools, level terrains and smoothings, and here it goes. And the last thing is decorations. Decorations is the last step for this map creation in Montriana, and it includes vegetation and something else. Oh wait, you forgot something. An oil or a fuel or a diesel things you should know. Maybe you will require more props as usual. If there's too many props, use to be reduced or recycling areas. You can build more rocks near the steep hill and whatsoever what you think is are. And finally, there are too many props for this building. It can be found in extra landscaping tools. Now, however, or moreover, you will make more as I want. And then you could ever go from there to there if you had a large amount of rocks, more rocks, and this sequential parts. You can build more rocks near the steep hill and the mountains, hills, tops, or alpine. Rock formations in this central part that requires 1.17. And finally, it will be compatible with hotels and retreats patches, and also the cliff. Now you can build a rock near the shore, and also you can have a shore there. What if there's too many stone Asian pillars right into this part? Yeah, don't forget the medieval castle, which is abandoned cemetery. You can build more abandoned cemetery, but it's very confusing than the other ones. So then, you could eventually build more factory. You can build more factory nearby, and the following things. There are 2 lighthouses and 2 abandoned shore. And don't forget, these one are the walls, mistakenly walls from there. There are shipwrecks, and well, it doesn't matter. You can place more rocks, and also a group of rocks will be making us better. And the last thing, need to work with the lines. Lines are very important for this game, and then it should be in the ones. And finally, the plane path, because there are 2 plane connections for this sequential meaning. And finally, you can put it on this ocean. So there you have it. Every single episode has only half an hour. There are 55 minutes of time, and there you go. Don't forget the rocks. So coming up next, we are going to start a new city in 1967. I'll be back in the next episode.